these 5 questions after the session, and then we will do the comparison. As you may know, the write-off process is a quite lengthy process involving plenty of actions. So, of course, 5 questions are not covering most of the concepts related to today's session. But the idea is to, have a fresh start already with some concepts, at least the minimum in terms of roles and sequence of events. At least the minimum in order to start with the session. So today I'm going to follow the same structure as we always do. We have a cover page, what we call a cover page for the exercise, and the body of the same exercise. So we will be going from one place to another. Just for your information, the scenario involved here, it's basically that a staff member who is involved in an accident has a tablet, and that tablet is ruined after the accident, and it's so damaged that it goes beyond the economical repair. So that piece of equipment will have to go through a write-off and disposal process, and it has been decided that the equipment will be scrapped. As you already know, if we were not talking about only one piece of equipment, if we were talking about 15 different tablets, for example, right, all of them equipment not being fixed assets, we could definitely merge all those equipments and serial numbers into one single notification, right? Whereas if that piece of equipment was a fixed asset, then we would need one notification per fixed asset. And you'll see how important this linkage between the notification and, let's say, the equipment master record is, because at the end of the day, when you do analysis in BI, the only way for the reports in BI to really map all the write-off processes is by notification. So the system will retrieve all the notification numbers coming from the equipment master records, and we will see where it's located. And from there, we will be able to do analysis. So at the end of the day, if a notification is wrongly done, if it is not approved, if it's not created, we will not have a clear perspective from the BI reports of the write-off and disposal process. So that's why we say that it's really important, not only because of the reports, because we have to be compliant with the policy and guidelines, and notification will have to be created. So we'll get to the notification business a bit later. For this exercise, it's 510, the environment. And as you can see, there are plenty of user roles involved up until, let's say, 8 or 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. From the notification perspective, up until the disposal planner, the person involved in the equipment master record, the 2 main roles in inventory, and the 2 main roles in warehouse. Good thing that we discovered in the training environment is just we will basically log off from the main user only once when we have to approve, or twice when we have to approve several documents as an inventory senior user. So we will be avoiding all this logging off and logging on as we go through the exercise with the different user roles involved. I think that gives us a little bit more clarity. So just bear in mind that you will be using basically in your exercise 2 roles, the one given for most of the, 2 credentials, the one given for most of the roles, and another one only for the inventory senior user. Okay. Then you will be given an equipment data from the tablet. I think in this case it's an asset. And the material ID, it's the following, with another serial number once you finish the equipment assignment exercise. And I think that maybe Sol can further explain, so you have clarity on how to reuse this serial number for the second exercise. Sol, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Danny. Good morning, everybody. Just a couple of clarifications. First of all, please take into consideration that the inventory senior user, as Danny mentioned, is a different let's say, credentials, has a different credentials and a different password. It's Umoja 123 instead of Umoja 133. So just to be aware of that. And these two pieces of equipment that you have in your cover page, the first one is one that we have created for you in a batch. So you will proceed with the exercise with this one. And the second one is this serial number is the same one that you have assigned for your assignment exercise. So once you finish this exercise, I mean, once the reservation has been done, the goods issue, the assignment process has been properly finished, you can repractice this write-off exercise with this piece of equipment, because you will have it in the right status and ready to be retired or scrapped off. Uh, so that's the only thing. And just something else, the first number that you have, they have been created in a batch for you guys to practice, and maybe you will find some mismatch with reality, and Danny will go through during the presentation of the exercise. But just take into consideration that if the process is properly done, there is a reservation, there is a goods issue, everything is properly done, the exercise will go smooth. So I think that's it. Danny, did I forget anything?
I don't think so. Thank you, Sol, for
Okay,
this.
thank you,
So
guys.
eventually, Sol did all the dirty job, dirty work to have everything ready. And trust me, it's not easy. It's not easy to really get into the guts of the training environment and get all these things ready. So thank you very much, Sol, for your work behind the scenes. So exactly, you have two serial numbers from two tablets, one coming from the practice exercise from last week on equipment assignment, and this one in yellow for today's session. Okay, so you'll see that we will be creating in the system for the write-off process several document numbers. So here we will be able to put the document numbers, and this is the table with all the process involved, all the user roles involved. Don't be really, shocked about this number of steps. At the end of the day, we're just talking about notification in the first four. Then we update it with the master record. Then we go back to the notification to start completing some tasks. Then we go back again to update the equipment status. We uninstall the equipment from its functional location and unassign, if I can say that word in English. So we take out the assignment as well from the VP. And then we start in step number 11 with the inventory/warehouse business, returning that piece of equipment into inventory, and then having a consequent let's see, triggering all these warehouse movements as well. You'll see there are plenty of them, but eventually when all that inventory and warehouse business is done, then we will we will update the notification, complete the notification, and deactivate finally the equipment. Okay. At the end, you have the job aids on the write-off and some BI reports that, of course, we will not have time to cover all of them today. So we will be split it into several sessions today, tomorrow, and maybe the day after. So that's the drill for today. I'd like to start with a presentation, but as you can see, it's not a it's a presentation that it will be basically for our use and reference as we go in the demo. Okay, but I just want to drag your attention to first the roles involved and some steps to take on account. Okay, first, which are the users directly involved in the write-off process? Well, first, the notification user, SD01, SD02 notification approver. The disposal planner will have a say, of course, in the notification from the business point of view as well, updating and taking note of the different steps in order to start the write-off and disposal process. Then, of course, our friend SD11, this person is always present throughout the equipment lifecycle. This person starts in even the enrichment after the goods received up until the end of the life cycle of a fixed asset and a piece of equipment. So it's very, very important. There's the 11 role. Another users involved in the write-off process as well, very important, inventory senior user, warehouse user, inventory user, and warehouse senior user. So as you can see, 8 people involved. Maybe when you go into the mission, we may have, there is no segregation, and you may ended up having several roles, or one particular person in the mission will have several roles. Okay, that's another story, okay? But at the end of the day, these are the roles from the system point of view that will be involved in this whole process. Then, very important in order for us, especially for the newcomers, how to link this notification with the equipment master record. Okay, I think this particular slide, I think it for me it was gave me a lot of clarity, and you tell me, you give me feedback in whether it makes sense or not. Okay, so first, so we have like two worlds here: the notification and then the equipment master record. So of course, the SD01 will create the notification initially, right, based on a template or from scratch, and we will do that in the system. Afterwards, the SD02 notification approver will approve the notification. We know that, okay? It's not only happening for write-off, but it happens for handover, happens for equipment assignment. So we know that notification is a document that runs in parallel with the rest of the business transactions. Okay, so what happens in the equipment master record? After this notification is approved, we, as the SD11 in this case, will have to start an assigning. If I don't know if these words exist in English, but I think we all understand. So we remove the assignment of the BP linked to this piece of equipment from the tablet itself, and as well we will uninstall that piece of equipment from the storage location in the equipment master record. Okay, the SD11 is in charge of that. Okay, after that, the SD09, the disposal planner, will take a look at the notification and will process and review the steps involved and will change the status several times of this notification, and more or less will give a green light to the SD11 to say, you know what, write-off can be in process. You can change the equipment user status. Okay, so the SD11 takes a look at the equipment master record and do all the proper changes. Then outside of the system, the local property survey board or headquarters or some senior management in the mission. I don't know exactly, the whole sequence of events, but there is a huge, let's say, outside of Umoja type of activities related to the business that will have to take place. And SD09, the disposal planner, will have to closely follow all those actions and make sure that those are present in the notification, or at least those tasks from the business point of view are like tagged, like, okay, this is done, this is done, this is done. Then eventually he or she will attach all this relevant business in documentation. If it is a donation, if we have extra documentation that we have to attach to the case, to the write-off case within the notification, he or she will do it. And then we the SD11, the equipment data maintainer, will change the equipment master record, the status, into a disposal method, whatever that is, okay? Regardless whether it's cannibalization, scrapping, or sale, you name it. At the end of the story, when that disposal method is changed in the equipment user status, then the SD09, and you see that this disposal planner has a, let's say, it's playing an important role from the notification point of view, okay? Closing the notification if everything is good to go. And eventually the SD11 will deactivate the equipment from the system, okay? So this is a bit of how things are running in parallel, but the consequences of the notification with the equipment master record, okay, and the roles involved. I think, this slide, it's not, I didn't create myself. This is the credit of David Redondo. So I think it's, he did a good job in order to really interpret how these documents or how these actions are interrelated in a way, right? So hopefully it's understandable, from the notification point of view and equipment master record. Then If there is any question, please post it in the chat or you can speak up. But if not, we will jump into the, let's say, the worlds of the inventory and the world of warehouse. Because eventually, all these actions are triggering things and transactions in inventory and in warehouse. And let me tell you that those transactions sometimes are not so clear from the human perspective. It's really clear from the system or Umoja perspective. So let's have clarity on that one. So on the left side, we have the inventory, and the right side, we have warehouse. Remember what we said, all the actions taken in inventory will have or will trigger some other actions in the warehouse. And you'll see how it's done in the write-off process. First, eventually, this tablet will have to return to stock, right? So the inventory user will have to create a reservation. Then the inventory senior user will have to approve that reservation with a document number. After the reservation is approved, the inventory user will perform MIGO in order to return to stock that tablet. Regardless whether that tablet is absolutely broken, regardless whether that tablet cannot function anymore, we have to take this action in inventory to tell the system that this tablet goes to the inventory before we get rid of it in write-off and scrapping. Okay, so we have to take back to our inventory using MIGO the tablet. So what happens in the warehouse? Every time that we go through MIGO, remember, there is some actions that have to be taken in the warehouse. First, that tablet will, let's say that MIGO will trigger a transfer requirement with a transfer order. In this case, it's a transfer order to a disposal area. Okay, so this tablet will be placed in a disposal area, and that TO will have to be confirmed. So imagine not a tablet, but a huge piece of equipment. So we will take our forklift and we will leave it in a disposal area. So those are, let's say, tangible operations, physical operations that the warehouse people will take. But the system will have to reflect all those actions by TO being confirmed. Okay, once that's done, then the RD04, the inventory user, will have to create a transfer posting using MIGO to say, okay, this tablet in the inventory is going from unrestricted to a block status. So please make sure that that tablet from the inventory point of view is blocked and cannot be assigned, cannot be moved from the inventory point of view to anywhere. So it will be in blocked status. And there is a MIGO with a movement type involved. That, as we always say, those MIGO transactions in inventory are always triggering some actions in the warehouse. And in this case, not the RD11, that's absolutely wrong. Sorry for that. I didn't, and I can, I know it's RD11, sorry. Somehow I got confused. Sorry for that. RD11, it's the warehouse senior user, and RD10, it's the warehouse user, sorry. So RD11, the warehouse senior user, will create a transfer order for posting, okay? And the warehouse user will have to confirm. And why I'm putting here some sort of cloud? Because this is some sort of a interim area in the warehouse. We are here not using any forklift whatsoever. We are not moving the goods or the tablet itself, but we are moving the tablet in some sort of like a interim status within the system, okay? Because we have to take action after the RD04 has done the MIGO for transfer posting, okay? So as always, any type of actions in the inventory in the left side will trigger actions in the warehouse. Finally, when this transfer posting is done in the warehouse, then the inventory senior user will issue those goods to a scrap. So from the inventory point of view, that tablet will go to a scrapping area in the inventory world using MIGO with a type of movement type, and eventually we will have our final movement of that tablet from the disposal area to disposal to a scrap area, and then the warehouse user will confirm the TO, and that tablet will be scrapped, and all the write-off process will be done. So as you can see in the presentation, we have like several, let's say, tracks involved. Well, first, several users involved, and then some tracks. The notification, the equipment master record, we know more or less how both of them are related. And now, what happens in the inventory and what actions in inventory are triggering some other transactions in the warehouse. Okay, hopefully it's clear, because when we go through the demo, we will perform in all these actions, and now we'll probably go back as a reference document to for us to really understand where we are, because sometimes it gets a bit messy, all these different transactions. I don't know, Brian or Elena, if there are any questions or comments. Was it clear?
Yes, it was clear. It's just that when you use the Word document, please, if you could zoom in a little bit. Now it's big enough.
Okay, but is it clear from Brian? How do you think, or the rest, Joe, or whoever, students?
I believe it is personally, Daniel. It's true that my perspective is not the same as someone who's new to all this. But I think dividing it the way it is divided right there on the screen, right? Inventory, warehouse, understanding that each transaction is going to have an impact, right? Each transaction on the left in inventory is going to have an impact on the right in warehouse. And actually you mark with an I, right, which transaction is exactly going to, create some document that it's going to eventually need a response or an action in the warehouse. Exactly. So I think it's very clear. And I think also students should pay attention to this. And now questions should come up. They're already familiar with Migo, even though they've performed it for different actions. Actually, what I see there is return to stock. They've done that. Goods issue was done as well when we were talking about transfers, right? The 1-step and 2-step. The only thing we haven't done as of yet is maybe a transfer posting at this point. But again, it's Migo. And it generates a material document, which then requires an action in warehouse. So it's very clear. I see that people are responding and saying very clear, very clear. Okay, just good. One comment with Angelo here. Who starts the warehouse? Who takes the technical assessment? Which trigger the warehouse? And okay. Warehouse order? Sorry, Angelo, I'm not sure if the WO means, write-off, sorry, okay. Who starts the write-off? Who takes the technical assessment, which trigger the write-off, and in which form? Okay, I don't think you're diving into that yet, no. Daniel, okay, so once we get into that, we'll take a look at these questions again. So I'll take note of them myself, and when you get there, we'll answer them.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Then the rest of the presentation, it's, some preliminary considerations related that every write-off process, write-off case will have to use a service notification. This notification has to be of the type PW, one notification for each of the fixed assets. One notification can be used to dispose several pieces of equipment or inventory items within the same case, okay? And then here, as you can see, they have some description of the different steps that I was actually explaining in the slide with the different sequence of events. Okay, so that's for your reference, for your study, for your use. And then the idea now is to jump into the system and do all these actions all together, and keeping track of the document numbers, as Brian was saying, that will be generated throughout the session. That's why I'm gonna use, I'm gonna fill in the following fields in my cover page, right, with the notification, the reservation number created there, okay? So without further ado, I will start, and I will take note of my serial number of the tablet. So let me go back to the system, train system, T1E. So I'm going to use this user with the password 133. Let me open this thing up. And the first step, and I will go to the body of the exercise, hopefully, it's to create this notification, okay? How we create a notification, I think we know already. It's IW51, okay? This notification type has to be PW, meaning write-off disposal impairment request. So we select PW, And then we can use a template, a reference notification number that we already have from GDP, and the one that we'll be reusing with Sol for quite long time. And this notification reference may change depending, and the mission may change depending on the user. So do not these notifications tasks are not carved into stone, right? So it may change. So this is just for your reference, okay? So that's the one we usually work with. This is the number that we are using, and then we click on enter, and then this is the reference data that automatically is pre-populated based on the template that we created. Okay, you see that it's a write-off. In this case, it was for expendable, so we'll have to change that. Okay, and let me go back to the exercise. It's PW. Then there are several fields that we'll have to fill in the notification. And remember, is the SD01, the notification user, doing so, starting the whole, let's say, write-off process in this case. Of course, there are some communications, emails, phone calls back and forward in order to start all this process. But from the system point of view, exactly from the system point of view, we shall start with this PW notification. So we go to the object part and select IT communications and audiovisual, which is the object involved in the write-off. You see the object part. It's already pre-populated based on the reference template that we have in our notification, which is an IT desktop communications. IT desktop communications. The damage, you have a drop-down list there. You can use data for depending on the type of equipment, several catalog selections. You can select any of them. It's not compulsory. It's just for the sake of giving a little bit more information for the write-off case. You can even put there that it was dropped by user after, I don't know, an accident, something like that, right? You can even put the cause code there. Normal wear and tear. I don't know. You can just to give a little bit more perspective and insights and context of what happened. Okay, those are not mandatory fields because you don't see that. Let's say this tick process. Okay, then I almost forgot to give a name or let's say a title to our notification. In this case, it's not an expendable. It's a write-off for an IT equipment. In this case, it's a tablet. So this is let's say the title of my write-off. So you can change, you can amend that, okay, without a problem. And then you can put a priority, high, very high, medium to the notification. Very important, the planner group. It comes by default 010, which is general, okay, not transport, not travel, medical service, but general. 010 works fine. And specifically for our plant, which in our case is US00. If I see it right, US00, which is UN headquarters in New York. Okay, so the plant and the planner group are already present. So all those things, the identification are filled in. Even the equipment number, you see the equipment number, use serial number on the exercise cover page. So if I go here and in the equipment and let's see, copy my equipment number in the cover page. This is the serial number, the equipment master record. The other is the material ID, the PID, okay? This is the serial number, the one that we will to scrap. So we put it there. And you'll see that automatically when I copy it, it's underlined. You see this underlined, meaning in Umoja in general, when you see a number underlined, that means that you can drill in, that you can, let's say, see what's inside in terms of information. So if I double click, I see at least a pop-up window appears. Do you want to specify new dates? It's okay, because that means that the template that we used had some dates, but I'm opening that template in some other date. So the system tells me you want to specify new dates, and I say yes. By clicking in that specific number with the underlined, I'm going to the equipment master record. And it's always important to go to the equipment master record and see what we're going to write off. We see that the status is installed and the equipment has been assigned. Okay, so it's been assigned, it was operative, right? And we have several information in terms of general data, when it was at the acquisition value, where it's located, exactly in terms of which is the cost center, is not an asset, the business area. If we go to a structure, we see that it's already applied a functional location, so it's installed somewhere. This is the material, this is the serial number, the last serial number, and the date of last goods movement on 27th of April, and importantly, partner assignment.
Hey, Daniel, you're breaking up a little bit, just
okay.
so you know, okay?
Okay, so let me see. I'm going to take off the headphones just in case. Is it
much better?
Okay, so yes, it was the headphones. All right. So thank you, Brian. So you see in the partner assignment that it was once we received the goods, these tablets, at some point, the system is automatically enriching this tab with this vendor information. But at some point of time, this tablet was assigned to someone, and this someone is Aquila Burke. So it's already assigned to staff member in system. Okay, and so it's always really important to take a look at the equipment master record while we create the notification, right? If the SD11 has to create a notification and he or she has not the SD11 role, it's important that he or she talks with the SD11 to understand the status of this equipment and in order to enrich a little bit the notification, okay? So you see, if I go back to the notification itself, and I have my equipment number, and I can always click in the description here, write off for the equipment tablet, it's okay. The coding, it's UN write off. Okay, so if I go to UN write off, here it's okay, the catalog selection, and even 01, meaning it was surplus, so it's okay. So the coding is there, and let's see if I can, yeah. So in this case, it's not an alternator, but I can put here a date, today's date, for example, just for the sake of giving information, right? The more you put in the notification, the better. And write off case, excuse me, write of case tablet. Okay, so we go back, and so the idea is to give as much information as possible in the notification part. So then we move to the location data. It's okay. I mean, it seems already filled in. You can change the ABC indicator in case that the how important in terms of stock is this type of equipment. For write-off, maybe it's not so important. And then the tab that we really care about is the tasks. First is the notification tab, and then we go to tasks. These are the already pre-populated tasks from our template. You can see in the text that all these are, let's say, business type of decisions, transactions, nothing to do exactly from the system point of view. So the idea is to have to put in place or to activate these tasks. Of course, you can always change, remove. We're not going to do that, but definitely what you have to put is a person responsible for all these tasks. And remember that this person may be the same or different BP numbers for each of these roles, excuse me, each of these tasks. So in order to do so, let me go back to the body of exercise. As you can see, I'm basically following all these different actions, right? Here, user location tab, maintenance plan. I think I already put it there just in case. User location tab. It's a business area, coast center there, so it's already pre-populated. All right. Just making sure that the maintenance plant as well. So let me see. Maintenance plant, it's U00, okay. And then the taskbar, I will have to put a BP number of the person responsible for each of these tasks. For the sake of, let's say, the time and the demo itself, we're going to put the same person responsible to all the tasks with this BP number. So let me copy and paste in the task tab the person responsible BP number. If I click on enter, automatically the list name appears. So is Russell Alexander the person in charge of the first, but I'm going to put it for the rest of the tasks. Okay, so I'm going to put the same person responsible. Remember that when you create the notification, this has to be agreed across the, let's say, all the counterparts. But as I said, for the sake of being doing things within one single demo, we're inputting the same person to all the different tasks. You see that the planned start is today, and we put a planned finish 1 month from now. Obviously, again, in real life, we have different people and different dates in planned start and planned finish. But again, for the sake of doing the demo in one shot, we're putting the same, let's say, dates for planned, finished, and planned start. So what do we do now? So we created our notification, we filled in with the relevant context information, then we go to tasks, we check that the tasks are okay, we are assigning a BP to each of the tasks, and we have to select all of them and change its status from OS to RL, which is release. So we have to release all the tasks to, let's say, make them or activate the tasks. How do we do that? By selecting all of them and clicking on this green flag at the bottom. So we select all tasks. I think we can select, see, if I click here, I select all the tasks, and then I click on the green flag. The status, it's already released for the 14 different tasks. So first, the notification user has to release. Then, well, here you can see that the task has changed from excuse me, sorry, let me go back again. We have to select the first task and click on this, let's say, black and white type of flag in order to change the status of a particular task to complete it. So basically, if we take a look at the first task and we already communicated with the different counterparts that it's completed, the SD01, the notification user, will select the task and we click on complete. So you see the status went from released to task completed, and it's already like a blued out, right? Instead of grayed out, like with a blue background. So as the equipment goes, as the process of write-off and disposal goes along during the time, then the notification user will have to take actions in the completion of those tasks, making sure that those actions are done. And even the SD09, the disposal planner, will have a really a very important role in notification in order to make sure that these actions and some others that it may be present in some other template for write-off, okay, are done, are properly completed. So if I go back to the presentation, remember that we create that will have to be approved, but all these tasks that I'm putting as a completion will have to be processed by different roles. In this case, will be the SD09 in most of them, okay? Hope it's clear. So let me go back to the body of exercise. We changed the status to completed the first one. Okay, let's do that. And let's save the notification now. So we put the first one as completed and we save our notification. So this is the number. Let me just write it down. 1001751. And I'm gonna go basically to the cover page, and I'm going to put that same number as I was any of you doing this exercise. So this is my notification number.
Daniel,
yes.
In the chat, there is a comment made by Angelo stating that prior to write-off, service order should be open. And Angelo, I guess that the service order reference number can be added as a text in the text box of the notification. How do you do it? Angelo says that if the notification reaches the disposal LPSB without proper documentation, it will be rejected.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, so service order can be linked. I mean, it can be, you can inscribe the service order number on the notification itself, but also you can attach the notification. I'm sorry, the service order, if you wish. At the end of the process, on the equipment record, if you will go on the history, on third data history of the equipment record, you will find out all the relevant documentation, meaning you will find out that there is actually a notification for the service order, a service order, and then also a notification for write-off. So all the transaction will be logged into the equipment record.
Exactly. So as well as this data shell, which is a notification, will keep track of all the tasks, but you will be able to attach other documents created based on the write-off case.
It is important, sorry, Daniel, it is important to understand that while system-wise notification for write-off and the process is what you need, when it comes to the business, business requires also other transactions to be in place. And if you don't have a service order which we provide a technical assessment for the write-off, then when the notification, the write-off, the PW is processed and the case goes to the LPSP, it can be rejected. So I don't know if I'm clear on the process.
Yes. I mean that.
Sorry. Can I add something to this? I'm not too sure it's how to the service order, but certainly the technical memo will have to be attached to notification before it goes to the LPSB for a decision on the disposal process.
Yeah,
if I can add, Claudio,
is the technical assessment, Joe.
Yeah.
If I can add, there might be cases, particularly in liquidation, where there is no really need of a technical of a service document, but it could be that the majority of the equipment is in surplus, and hence you have to go for commercial sale. So you just need a technical department saying that these assets are in surplus and for write-off for commercial sale. So
correct. You are 100%.
Yeah. So okay, so we understand. So basically, you just need a supporting documentation from the technical entity that recommends the assets for write-off for whatever reasons. It could be damage, it could be surplus, and
But just bear in mind that when it comes to technical assessment related to if it's behind economical repair, damage, whatever, then a service order should be in place because then we have to capture also the costs, etc., etc.
Sure.
Okay. Whenever it comes, of course, to surplus, to replacement, blah blah blah, then you don't need a technical assessment. You need just a technical unit which tell you that the equipment is in surplus. So in that case, you don't need a service order. You can go straight forward with the notification PW.
Yeah, I think we agree on this. Yeah.
Yep.
So to complete what Danny just explained, it's missing the part that there might be any supporting documents to be attached in the notification as an attachment. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for pointing that out. Thanks a lot, Elena. Okay, so let me resume, and thank you for the insights, guys, because you have the more perspective on the business scenarios. So now we're going to go to approve this notification. How do we approve this notification? So with IW52, and automatically it's retrieving the notification number that I think that it was created before. Let me double check. So it's 10001751. Okay, so it's the one. So I click on enter. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so it's the same notification. Now it's the notification approving logging in as a IW52. He or she will take a look at the notification, and as Claudio and the rest of you, the Luke, I think, and Joe mentioned, he or she will take a look on whether the relevant documentation is attached. As you said, you know, the technical unit is recommending the write-off case or some other documentation. So I think it was an important discussion there. So in any case, the situation now, it's basically to review the notification, going to the header, and in this header, changing the text, let's say the request created to request or notification approved. So there is no like well, it's a workflow itself, but instead of like clicking on approving, you're basically changing the status of the text from 1 to 2. You go back, and then I believe you save the notification. So the notification is saved with a different status. In this case, it's released, excuse me, it's saved. Now the notification approver, again, will log in, because he or she will have to, let's see, put in process this notification, okay? And in order to put in process the notification, and I could actually do like the put in process, the changing of the status in one shot, but I just want to do it one at a time, okay? So first, the notification approver click on different status, and then logs in again and releases the notification by clicking in put in process over here in this green flag on the top, okay? Remember that the other green flag was here in the tasks over here. In order to release all the tasks, what we are going to do now is to release the notification itself. Okay, and you notice that the flag changed, was modified from green to this black and white. And then the notification approver will save again. So now it's, let's say, put in place. Let me go back to the presentation and see that it's been created, the notification, it's been approved, okay? And now, before even going to an assignment and install of that pieces of equipment, it can go in parallel, but the SD09, in this case, will process the notification, reviewing the notification, and making sure that the user status of the notification is in write-off. So now, let's imagine that the SD09, the disposal planner, goes to the notification. It's already, he or she has a good communication with the approver and the notification creator, and they agree that this notification should be changed in terms of status to a write-off impairment request, because the SD09 has checked and has verified all the relevant information that we discussed before on technical unit and the business itself, and it's okay to change its status to WRRQ, write-off impairment request prepared. So go back, and then I believe he or she will save, okay? It's important to underline, guys, that the statuses cannot be jumped as such, because it's necessary to, go through a cycle. You cannot go, for example, let me just go back to the notification. You cannot go directly from approval to number 6 over here. The system will not let you do it now. You have to go one step at a time. So from system point of view, the notification is duly tracked, and we have all the different activities properly done by different actors, okay? So Let me save it again. And now the idea is to update the equipment. So we're going from the notification, okay, it's been in process, it's been reviewed by 09, and then there's the 11, the equipment local data maintainer will take a look at the equipment master record, and based on the recommendation from the SD09 and the relevant information, he or she will unassign, remove the BP, and will uninstall the tablet from the equipment master record. Okay, so let me go back and remember, guys, that now I'm logging in. Let's say I'm now have the a cap, no, of the hat of the SD11. So I'm going to IE02, which is the modification T code of the equipment master record. I put my serial number, which was don't remember by heart, so it was this one. Copy, and I paste it over here, click on return. And you see that in the header status, it was installed, the tablet was installed, and the equipment is assigned. So we have to remove that assignment from the equipment master record perspective. So how do we do that? In a structure, you always find the functional location of the equipment itself. This is a real estate element for its functional location for this tablet in particular. If you want to, let's say, dismantle this piece of equipment from this functional location, you will have to click here on this tree, let's say, and making sure that everything is okay, and you will have to click on dismantle over here. If you click on dismantle, you see the functional location is removed and there is no data there. I click in OK. So now we have dismantled from its functional location this tablet. What else is pending? Well, it's pending this unassignment from a BP. Okay, we already did this part. Let's unassign from a BP. So where is it? It's in the partner assignments. We select this user accountable, which is currently Aquila Burke, and we remove or undo this partner assignment business. So now it's been removed from our equipment master record. Okay. So besides that, obviously there will be more interactions between the SD09, the disposal planner, and the SD11, the master data maintainer. But the two main actions from the equipment master record point of view will be to unassign and to uninstall this piece of equipment. So let me go back. I think it's 11:09. We may want to go for a short break, but let me just first save. I think it's, I don't want to see, because I think there is, I think I'm missing one of the steps. First, I have to change the equipment status, and that's important. So let me just go in here. And we'll go from equipment assigned, okay, but remember that we have installed and unassigned, but still the SD11 will have to change the status of this equipment master record, and we'll have to put in write-off in process based on the instructions in the notification from the SD09. And remember that these people will be in contact, in constant communication in order to take these actions into the system, okay? So now that we go back, you'll see that the user status has changed from installed to write-off in process. The partner, it's been removed, and the structure, it's been removed in its functional location, okay? Last but not least, very, very important, and I want really to drag your attention to this part. In General tab, in the equipment master record, you see this inventory number. This is the place where we are going to key in the notification number, okay? And why it's important? Because as I told you before, in all reports in BI, the way for, let's say, to map all the write-off cases in the equipment master record, it's by inputting here the notification number
in this inventory number field. Okay, this is an important link, because otherwise the system will not retrieve the data in terms of write-off in BI. So what's our inventory number, or notification number, sorry. It was 1001751. Let me go back to the system, and the SD11 will input the same number in the inventory number field. Okay, so basically, this person, he or she, changed the equipment user status, remove the function location, remove the BP, and input the inventory number in the inventory number field, the notification number created for this write-off case. Then, I think I'm not forgetting anything, the SD11 will save, and the serial number has changed accordingly. Okay? So, I don't know, Brian, shall we go for a break, or shall I move on? Up to you.
No, I think it's a good moment for a break. And there's also, in parallel, Elena and Claudio have already jumped in. There's a discussion going on in the chat that we may want to bring back when we come back from break. So let's take a 5-minute break, a coffee and so on, and maybe we can revisit this, because it's basically talking about what you're doing, but prior steps that we may want to consider. So we'll take a look at it maybe during the break and see how we can tackle this. Thanks, Antonio, also for a very good background view of what to do before, and also a real case scenario in UNSMIL that Antonio Aprile is sharing with us. So yeah, let's take a break now, come back maybe at 11:16 or so, and maybe we can discuss this quickly when we come back.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Daniel.
Hello, Brian. It's 11:17.
Yes,
shall we
Daniel?
resume, or we give extra time? Or
No, I think it's a good quick break.
Okay.
5 minutes to grab a coffee, water, whatsoever. But before we even start, right, just to make reference to this interesting discussion that was happening in the. Sorry. See, I'm playing around and I gave an angry face to Claudio's comment. Okay, sorry about that. This conversation with Claudio, right, and Antonio, and so on. So we understand those of you who are new to this versus those of you who have experience in this. These are the processes that we're discussing, right? What happens before you actually go into the system and start transacting. So what Daniel is showing to you is the steps in the system, right? The transactions themselves. Now, things will happen before, in between, communications, emails, and so on, just like they did for transfers, intermission, but they were not added in the exercise. This is great information to add as notes, and it's the idea that we have is to add these bits of information to the exercises as notes for the post-training package. So, for example, what Claudio has been writing in the chat, and Antonio as well, I think is very interesting to add prior to starting the transaction in the system, right? Like Daniel is explaining maybe in a note to say this is what would happen before. Now, what I want to make sure, so we're all on the same page too, these documents, right? For example, a user should report the malfunction of a piece of equipment to the commodity manager, who will create a tech memo. So, of course, this report of the malfunction is not done through a T-code in ECC. This is probably just an email or a document that has to be filled in to report this. And then the commodity manager creates a tech memo. It says and or a service order. So a service order is created prior to the actual notification of write-off. But would we consider this service order to be part of the write-off process? Or is this a step that should not be considered the same? Because now when we're talking about a write-off process, for example, in this scenario, we're saying we should start with a notification. Now, this service order, should it be considered also part of the write-off?
Brian, can I jump in here, please?
Yes, please.
I think we started off, sorry for saying this, but we started the process wrong, if I may add. The whole reason we write off is based on the inventory managers, the asset managers, and they will decide if you want to write off an asset for whatever reason, surplus, it's stolen.
This is not reality, not the truth.
Claudio, the technicals, Claudio, please.
Joe, if you want me to say you that inventory is the commodity manager, I can tell you. If I have to tell you that the technical unit is responsible to write it off on the business, this is a different thing. Okay, the technical unit, the commodity manager, the service manager is the responsible one, not the inventory manager.
Okay,
which is different. Sorry, let me finish. When we do a write-off, we have to assess the condition of an equipment, meaning if it's in working on a working condition, and the working on a working condition will determine
Claudio, please,
also for everything.
Claudio, I'm well aware of that. What I said was at the very beginning, these documents have to be attached in order to create a notification. Okay, you need to know why you're creating a notification and what we're going to do with the asset. So a technical assessment or a technical assessment for assets that are damaged or written or need to be written off because of not up to scratch anymore, whatever reason, right? Mm-hmm. Or that we're handing over the camp and the assets, right, are being left in situ and the assets are surplus and are no longer required by you. They're documents that should be added at the beginning of the process so that when it goes to the LPSB, they can make a proper assessment of what needs to be done. Okay?
Oh, yes, the technical, sorry, no. Before going to the LPSB or HPSB, the equipment must be assessed, meaning also if I'm writing off the equipment as a surplus, okay, prior to define if it has to be sold or scrap or etc. because it's surplus, I need a technical assessment, because the technical assessment by the technical unit determine the condition of the equipment. If it's in working condition, then I can also, if it's a working condition and item in surplus, can be sold. If it's not in working condition, then can be scrapped. So technical assessment.
Claudio, I think we're speaking the same thing. Claudio.
You both are saying the same thing, guys.
I said the same thing, Claudio.
That's what I'm saying. But the technical assessment is taken to the service order.
Okay, the service order is something else for you, right? But
no,
you know,
not for everybody. Transport. They need.
Okay, Claudio, please, right. The service orders are something that technical people can do, or you can initiate. You may not write off the asset from a service order. It's just a service order that you're doing to having a technical assessment of an asset that may be repaired. Correct? Okay, thank you.
But still, for the write-off is a technical document that you need.
Okay, perfect. What I just want to focus on here with this conversation and get something out of it is the fact that we're talking about transactions during this exercise, but of course, things that happen prior to the notification should be stated, as there is this report of malfunction, there is a service order that is created, but we're not adding this to the transaction as part of the write-off per se. We could if we wanted to, but basically, if we're going to ask someone to perform a write-off, is it correct to say we're starting at notification in terms of transactions in the system, or should we start adding and saying, no, we should start at IW31 with a creation of a service order, and we should add more roles to this process and make it even longer? Or can this just be mentioned as a side note saying, you know, these things happen prior to a notification, and then once all this is approved, then we start with the notification process? That's all I wanted to clarify at the beginning. In terms of transactions in the system, and then what happens before, in between, and so on, of course, we would like to know, but we don't want to add this as part of the transactions in the system, especially for these that are coming in new to this. It's good to understand what happens in the background, but we haven't covered it in terms of transaction because we didn't consider it to be one per se, right? Not a T code that you have to create. When we talk about a service order created prior, we're talking about IW31, creating a service order and so on, and then attaching that document into notification. Would that be correct?
Brian, everything depends on how you want to approach the write-off itself. If you want to go following what is the new process in Umoja, or if you want to still, you know, act as in the past, okay? Meaning what? When you have a piece of equipment which is broken, whatever, or is faulty, etc., what do you do first? You taste it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need to taste the equipment because you need to define the condition. You need to define what is broken, how much it's going to cost if it's to be repaired, and how much it's going to cost if you want to write it off.
Exactly.
Right? Who does what? Who does this? The technical unit, technician. Through what? Through a service order.
There you go. Okay.
Okay, Brian, and just to add to this so it's clear for you, because I'm not too sure the trainers understand this. Sorry. In order for some of the actions to be taken in that notification, somebody has to see some documentation to ensure that the process is being followed correctly. In other words, somebody has to decide whether it's a DO, an LPSB, or a HP. The documentation has to be attached at the beginning of the process. Not halfway down the process or near the end of the process. As you start the notification, as Claudio just said, there's a technical assessment and there's a memo attached where from that service, right, saying that these items have a right to be attached and the reason why. And then when it goes to the disposal planner, then they will decide based on the information they have in that document and the value of the document, whether it's an LPSB, delegated authority, or a HPSB. Right? It's just a way of making sure that information is attached. Otherwise, if you don't attach this documentation, right, it can't go to the LPSB because the first thing they will ask is, what documentation have you got to support the write-off?
Exactly.
Are you clear? Right? Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Joseph and Claudia. I think that's very clear. All right, so Daniel, so whenever you want, you can take over.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Claudio, Joe, Brian. I'm just, I don't know if you see my screen here. This is the job aid for write-off and disposal, the official one. And in a way, you know, we're all right in a way, because we started the demo with the transactions, relevant transactions in the system, right? You see that we initiate and create a notification for a write-off, right? Which is step number 2. But step number 1 states that the offline, as an offline process, is that we have to ensure that all relevant supporting documents and justification in support of the recommendation to write-off is attached. Identify the appropriate service provider for technical assessment, evaluation, and processing of the write-off. So exactly, I mean, you are all referring to this offline process that we are not saying that they are not important. They are actually of utmost importance in order to initiate the notification, okay? So maybe in the presentation, we can add this offline process in order to make sure that a bit of the business or the communication besides all this Umoja business, it's properly covered in the training as well. So we will keep good note of those insights and try to complement a little bit the training, okay, on that. So thank you. And if I may, I'm going to update this notification status. Now the SD09, the disposal planner, will have to, let's say, reflect these different activities that will take place, like the local property survey board or HSPB. All those different actions will have to be, let's say, reflected in the notification, at least as tasks completed, and the status of the notification will have to be accordingly updated based on the different approval process offline, let's say, from the business on the local property survey board and or the LPS review, right? For doing so, the SD09, the disposal planner, will go to IW52, which is the notification. You can amend, you can approve, you can make actions, or take actions as an approver, let's say, in the notification. And besides, you know, reviewing all these items, the disposal planner will take a look at the status of the notification, and from impairment request, will put it as a LPSB review. Here you have, I want to draw your attention that we have 2 items. Both of them are the same, so they are duplicated, and the same happens with some other status. So when the disposal planner has got the information from offline that this will be reviewed by the local property survey board, he or she will change the status, will go back, and will save the notification, okay? The updating of the notification will happen as time goes by, right? So again, he or she, the SD09 disposal planner, will go again when he or she has a little bit more information. You see that the notification status changed to LPSB. When that status changes to awaiting approval decision, then the disposal planner will change accordingly the status. You see that, and I wanted to refer to my comment before, SD09 cannot jump from 3 to 5. First, that notification has to go through 4 to level 4, which is LPSB review, saved, and then we'll go to awaiting approval decision, going back, and save the notification. So this is happening, and these offline meetings and communications and decisions are taken for this piece of equipment, okay? Then finally, the SD09 will again enter into the notification, and once the review of this write-off case has been approved, he or she will have to go to the radio button as well, and going to, for example, review approved, from 5 to review approved. So once that review is approved by the different boards, then the disposal planner will change accordingly to the status and will save the notification accordingly. So if I enter again, you see that the notification has changed from the initial, let's say, waiting approval to review approved. And this is happening as the different elements and discussions are happening, let's say, offline, okay? And the results of those discussions will have an impact in the status of the notification itself. So then let me go back to the presentation. I hope that's clear. All these, you see, it's reflected all these items in this LPSB or HSB review. The review is approved, of course, as you guys are mentioning, and it's really important is to attach in the notification itself all the relevant information and the outcomes and minutes of all these meetings related to the right of case and decisions made, right? So after the notification status has been changed accordingly as things are happening, right, offline, then the equipment, the SD11 will have to take a look at the equipment master record and change accordingly the user status, right, to the disposal method that was agreed. So let me go back to the system and I will create another session. So I have my notification always present. So SD11 will log in and will change the status of the equipment master record. Remember that the status from the user point of view was in right of request or right of process, right? Now that the local property survey board or all these boards in terms of business for right of have agreed that this right of case goes on and the disposal method, it's the one already agreed, then the SD11 will change accordingly based on those decisions, okay, on the different disposal methods, right? And for example, we're going to use the extraction disposal method, which is EQDE, okay? So you see that the system status hasn't changed, right? It's available, but what the SD11, what he or she is doing is changing the user status based on the decisions that are reflected in the notification, are communicated to this person, so the SD11 can take action in the user status. So we go back and we save. You see that, and let me go back again to the equipment master record. You see the user status has changed to this destruction disposal method. Okay, it's I hope it's clear. Then what else it's required? Let me go back to the presentation. So we attached, well, the SD09 attached all the relevant. It's changed the equipment master record, as I said. Yes, someone.
Sorry, I hate to interrupt, but I think it's important to
yes.
to explain another element which is missing in both workflow here that I read right now and in even in the notification template. There is one level of approval write-off which is called delegation of authority. Okay, and it's for those that have read the IPSAS threshold related to the write-off for all the assets that have a value below $3,000, I mean depreciated value below $3,000 or net book value below $3,000, you don't need to go to LPSB, okay? So the delegated authority, which is usually given to the property management officer, has the authority to approve the write-off. So as I said, both the workflow should include before LPSB DOA, which stands for delegation of authority, and you can skip the LPSB submission. Basically, that person has the authority to approve the write-off straight away. Again, for assets with the depreciated value below $3,000 or net book value below $3,000. I think it's important to emphasize this because Beside people that are familiar with this, those that are new to the system of write-off may get confused when they face this exercise, as they will not be aware. Sorry to interrupt, but I think it's important. Yes, that should go just before LPSB, HPSB, because again, as I said, that is below $3,000. Between $3,000 and $25,000 goes to LPSB, and all the assets above $25,000, again, I repeat, depreciated value or net book value goes to HPSB in New York. So there are three tranches, okay? 0, 3,000, 3,000, 25,000, and above 25,000.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gianluca. And please do not, you are not interrupting. You're basically enriching this whole exercise. So thank you very much, Gianluca. So yes, I will accommodate a little bit better the presentation, but I took note of that, and we will amend accordingly. It's exactly depending on the value of the piece of equipment, or even it's an asset. Then the reviewers or the person in charge or the board will be different. Yes, of course. And if it is less than 3,000, which I guess that it happens a lot, right? Writing off a lot of pieces of equipment below this threshold. So the application authority, it's given just for out of curiosity to the CMS or anyone else in the mission.
The CMS can sub-delegate, and the sub-delegated officer has to succeed in 2 trainings. I can remember now, I think it's 2197 and 2198. And usually, as I said, usually it's with the chief of property management, which has the delegation of authority. But again, it's up to the CMS to sub-delegate or not. But this DOA can be sub-delegated to property management.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Gianluca. Thanks a lot. It was a good piece of information, and please do, guys, chip in, and if there is something that it's worth mentioning, and we can amend accordingly the presentation and content. So pending from the notification, it's to close it eventually. So let me put it in red. And I already did this part on changing the equipment master record to a disposal method. And then from the equipment point of view, the only pending actions, let's say from the system point of view, let's always emphasize that part, it's to deactivate the equipment. So 2 pending actions in the notification, 1 closing, and in the equipment master record to deactivate this piece of equipment. So, but remember, we have plenty of actions that will take place in the inventory and warehouse, right? So I wonder where my icons went. I had nice icons here of the warehouse. So even some of the, you see, some of the transactions didn't inventory install disposal method. They changed, right? I don't know what happened. Let me see. Just in case, let me undo. Because I had this presentation already. Okay, so I don't know what it went. Let me see whether I have another view. Here we go, warehouse, this one. Okay, oof. Sorry, I thought I had lost it. Okay, so now we're going to the inventory and warehouse business, and there are plenty of actions that we'll have to take into the system. So first, after the equipment master record is properly updated and the notification goes its course, at some point we will have to return to stock our piece of equipment, right? And we are starting the inventory process with the return to stock, basically creating a reservation into the system. So I'm going to log in as a RD04, which is the inventory user. So let me start from the scratch. The T code in order to create a reservation, it's set MMM B21. So we create a reservation for this particular item, and this reservation is created to return to stock the tablet, okay, that it was assigned and that we have uninstalled in the system. Okay, so as a movement type, we're going to enter set01, which is the used goods received into the warehouse. So let me take a look. As you can see, movement types are plenty, and you cannot, know them by heart. So you see set01 is used goods received into a warehouse. So basically, we're going to put in the warehouse a piece of equipment that was previously issued out. So set01, the plant, it's U00, our plant for this exercise. And then I click on enter, and then we're going to proceed creating the reservation as a inventory user. The fund will have to, you see that you have a tick there, so it's really important to identify the fund. Our fund is 10EONA, and our cost center is 10002. The cost center responsible of this piece of equipment from the inventory point of view. As a goods recipient, we may put our notification number just for reference. So I can just go back to my data on the demo. I think I input it over there. You see still plenty of other documents from the inventory and warehouse to be created, right? So let me put as a good recipient, this is my notification. And then I'm going to input my material, which I think is 15. I think it's the tablet is that one. Let me double check. 1500-21039. This one. It's one piece of equipment, one tablet. Storage location is 3101 from the inventory point of view. And then as a batch, I'm going to put new supply. And I just want to stop here and let you know that, well, from the batch or valuation type point of view, it doesn't make sense that we put here a new supply. Why? Because when you issue out from your inventory and the warehouse a piece of equipment, in this case, a tablet, and you give it to a business partner, you give it to a staff member, he or she start using it, and for whatever reason drops it and goes to write-off, and it happens now, or in our exercise right now, the valuation type, once this piece of equipment goes out of the inventory, it's all supply, because it's already expensed from the inventory point of view. But the things like I have to put here new supply because we thought we were very clever initially, and when we received all these in the training environment, I'm saying, and that's my bad on that in this case, because we thought that it was better to do a goods received for all these tablets bypassing the reservation, and we took good lessons here. Because if you do not create a reservation and you just do a goods issue and assigned equipment directly without a reservation to staff members, that you can do, right, in the training environment, then the batch never changes. The valuation type never changes, and the master valuation class is new supply. So it doesn't, the valuation type doesn't goes to old. So from the inventory point of view, still has the original value. So this is just to say that in general terms, in real life, when you take back to inventory a piece of equipment already issued out, of course, the valuation type will be all supply. But in order to, let's say, be compliant with the things that we have done when we received these items in our inventory, bypassing reservation, then we have to still put this new supply. So for ones of you who are familiarized with the inventory business, obviously it doesn't make sense that we put here new supply, but we have to be, let's say, compliant with the valuation type that actually it's in the equipment master record. And let me just verify that for you so we all have clarity. I'm going to the equipment master record, and if I go to the CERT data tab, you see that the master batch, it's new supply. It should be all supply because this piece of equipment was assigned to a staff member and was out of the inventory. Okay, so just So we have to be, let's see, to link this new supply master batch with the reservation that we have created, okay? Only that. Sorry, it was 5 minutes parenthesis, but it was important, especially for you, the ones of you who are familiar with inventory management, so you don't, it doesn't look bad what we're doing, no? This has the reason is because we didn't create initially a reservation when we issued out from our inventory all these tablets, okay? It's our bad on that case, because in any case, if I put here as a valuation type all supply, I will not be able to perform MIGO afterwards, okay? So, as I said, I'm resuming, getting back to the material, one quantity, storage location, plant, and batch or valuation type. It's important, okay? So I click on enter, I believe. Okay, let me see. Enter, and then I click on save. So our reservation is created, and I will take note of that number, which is 5814. So I go back to my exercise and I put, sorry, it's just 5814 as my reservation number. So I have clarity. So it is okay. So go back to my exercise, and of course, this reservation will have to be approved by the inventory senior user. So as you can see in the cover page, the inventory senior user has a different user ID. So I will have to log off from my current session and log in as a inventory senior user. So log off. Yes, and then even more one, sure, okay, and I go to the training systems, same 510 type of environment. This is my credentials for the senior user inventory. I think that's 1, 2, 3. Okay, so where do we go? Remember that in order to approve a reservation, the inventory senior manager will have to go to his or her inbox, and from there to the workflow and see what's there. You'll see that the first item that we have here ready, it's our reservation approval, 5814, okay? Always, I mean, if I was a senior inventory senior user, I will not approve just, blind. You can always go to the relevant reference document. If you click on that hyperlink, you go directly to this interim page where you have to put the reservation number, which was 5814. 14, and then the plant, which I believe is U00, execute. And this is my reservation. So, I see who created, which is the base date, what is the movement type created, the fund. So I have information here in order to understand what I am approving, right? So if it's okay, you can go back and say, okay, it's ready for being approved. I double click and I approve my the reservation created. Okay, so let me log off as an inventory senior user. And I will log in again as a regular user, as I think it's inventory user RD04. So again, logging in, the reservation is approved. And now let me go back to the presentation and make sure that we are all following. You see, I took 2 actions in inventory. First, the inventory user created a reservation in order to return to stock this tablet. Inventory senior user has approved this reservation. I just approved it. And now I'm going to return to stock using MIGO transaction, and this will trigger the warehouse business for the senior and regular warehouse user, okay? So before we go to lunch break, I'd like to finish at least this warehouse business, and then we will resume after lunch with this transfer posting, okay? So let me do first Migo based on the reservation. So I go to the T-code Migo, and then I will have to identify as a goods receipt, because remember, we are receiving goods in our inventory, right? And I'm going to link that goods receipt to a reservation. So I'm selecting goods receipt, reservation, and my reservation number, which was 5814, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Then enter the movement type. It's already pre-populated here. It's GR used goods. Let me go to the match code. Is set 01. Set 01, one more. Okay, so it is one used goods received into the warehouse. So that's why we're performing Migo. Let me execute. And then the system retrieves the information from the storage location, the cost center, business area, the description, and so on and so forth. You can always check in the bottom of the page different information related to this action. If, for example, I was the user, the inventory user, you see that once you put in the reservation the notification number, automatically it's derived, or let's say pulled into the Migo transaction in the Where tab as a goods recipient. You see I can double click. If I double click, well, no appropriate data was found. No, okay. In any case, I cannot double click, but if I copy and paste and I put it in the notification, I will be able to see the notification number with all the information on the right of case, okay? Then this is information on the reservation, the count assignment, already all derived by the budget and costing modules in Umoja, and the warehouse. And I will have to input, I guess, the serial number, right? Because in Migo, you will have to link the reservation, but as well to put the serial number involved, which, let me go back to the page, okay? And I take my serial number, and this is the tablet that we will be taking back into our inventory. So it's okay. So now I'm going to click on item OK, check this transaction. Document it's okay, I post it, and I will get my first material document, very important, which is 49,123,029,307. So if I'm not mistaken, 3029307. I will post that one over here. So it's 49,000,29,307. This is my first material document of returning to stock. All right, let me just put it bigger. Sorry. All right. So as we always say, all these actions, especially when we perform Migo transaction, you see Migo transaction, and Migo transaction, these three will trigger warehouse activities in the mission. So the first Migo transaction returning to our stock, the tablet, will trigger a transfer order to a disposal area. So warehouse senior user will take that information and will take that tablet into a disposal area. Obviously, they will not use a forklift for doing that, but in order to understand that there is a movement, a tangible, let's see, action outside the system, there is no movement of items into a disposal area. So let's log in as RD11. So I took note, it's okay. So you know that you can always print your material document /n. So we're going to create our transfer order into the disposal area. The transfer order, in order to create transfer order, we go to LT06, remember? Create transfer order for material document, retrieved already from the system. The material doc year is 2020. Warehouse is AF1. Just for your information, AF1, it's for, let's see, United States, it's Units Q in New York. Okay, that's the one. and I click on enter, and from there I check the header, and I will click here on our forklift. So by clicking the forklift, I'm basically identifying that a particular movement is done from this, let's say, storage bin, which is this co-center, to a destination bin, which will be the disposal storage bin, and you'll see how it's done. So first, as a destination storage type, because automatically the from it's coming derived from the system. Okay, as a destination, the storage type will be disposal. So, but I can go to the match code, and you'll see that we have plenty of them. Disposal area. All right. Then, as a storage section, I will use 001, the only one I have for this disposal area, total section. And then remember that the bin here, it's a free text, and I can always put disposal as a, let's say, some sort of a bin. But the important thing here is that we are going to move the item into the disposal area, into the warehouse, okay? So I click on enter, check your entries, looks okay. You see the goods recipient here still is retrieved with the notification number. Okay, and then here I can save. You see that the destination bin is disposal, the quantity is 1, and you see that the batch is new supply over here. So let me save my transfer order, which is 1213. That's the TO, my first TO, 1213. So transfer order to the disposal area will be 1213. Bigger. So this is my first one, and let's confirm it right away. You see, I'm not even going to input any T code. I go to the transfer order, and I'm going to confirm the transfer order automatically pre-populated in the system. We can transfer. Enter. So now, once this warehouse user has used the forklift with the tablet and put it and place it in the disposal area, then he or she will confirm that it's done and there was no problem whatsoever. So confirm internally. All right. And then save. So our transfer order, it's been confirmed. So the TO for disposal area is confirmed, and we have our tablet already in the disposal area in the warehouse. So shall we go? It's 12 o'clock right now. Shall we go for a lunch break, guys, Brian? So we resume the session with the transfer postings in inventory. Over to you, Brian.
Sure thing. Sure thing. I think it's good timing. There's been a lot covered for the first morning session. I think it's the best time to take a break. I'm sure that any questions we may ask now will eventually extend for maybe 10, 15 minutes, so might as well leave it for the afternoon session. I know there's still a lot to do in terms of transactions in the system. Thanks, Daniel, for going through it quickly. Again, thanks for the comments shared about the initial offline steps or online steps that should be performed before a write-off. We take note of that, and we're adding that to the Q&A and maybe also to the post-training package. Besides that, there's nothing from my side. I see that the chat doesn't have any other added comments except for more of a follow-on to what was already discussed. And you just posted the survey. Thanks, Daniel. Besides that, everyone just take a quick look at the survey and evaluate this morning's session. It'll take you just 2 or 3 minutes. Thanks, Antonio. I see you're also following the discussion. Please add it to the chat, and we'll just rescue it in the afternoon when we jump back in, because if not, I have a feeling we're going to be here until 1 o'clock discussing these topics, and maybe the best thing is a break right now. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, guys. We'll see you in 2 hours. Thanks.